Oh, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of First Canada Live. We are back. It's Tuesday night, so we're talking robots. We're talking about the fun stuff that's happening in our community. It's going to be a great show. We've got a lot of fantastic guests coming on tonight. So I think it's just important. Let's get started. But to get started, as Canadians, it is important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect upon the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The Indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we remember the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect upon, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, to get us started with this great show today, I'd like to introduce our co-host. She is a student on FRC Team 7659, HNMCS Robotics, and a member of the First Canada Youth Council. Say hello to Sally. Hey, Sally, how's it going?
Hi, Karthik. I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am doing great. It was a little bit sunny today, a little bit warmer out there. Some of that snow is finally starting to melt. Like my driveway is like half blocked in because there's like nowhere to even put the snow when you shovel it anymore. And it's just kind of some like waiting for that ice chunk to go. But like there's more coming, which is kind of a bummer. But how about you? How's your robot? That's what we want to hear about.
Well, I'm personally super excited for the build season. We're working on a lot of design, building the robots. So far, all virtually, but I think we are really getting that experience even online. Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. It's been really amazing to see how teams have pivoted to this online space and the teams are truly working in a hybrid system right now where most of our teams for months of January and early parts of February will not be able to meet in person, but then they're planning, they're brainstorming, they're designing, they're CADing, they're coding. And hopefully when they can start, some this week, some next week, some the week after that, they can just hit the ground rolling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and what events are you going to this year, Sally?
I think I'm going to St. Mary and another one that I have to recall.
Wow, St. Mary will definitely be a good time. That's the first time they've had that one there. It's traditionally at McMaster, but it's at St. Mary this year, which will be really great. And yeah, it's just ready to get into a robot season. But I think to get us started today, well, first off, we have some amazing guests coming on the show tonight. We have representatives from Georgian College. We have representatives from the University of Waterloo Faculty of Engineering. And we have some of your fellow members of the Youth Council who will be talking to us about mental health, which is obviously, I'm really glad that there's more conversations about mental health these days because for the longest time, we focused on physical health, which obviously is important, but people don't realize that mental health is physical health because our brain is, it's there. It's not this unsubstantiated thing in the sky that people used to think about. And so I'm really glad that the Youth Council has always put a focus on this. And part of that focus is the wellness moments you've all prepared for us. And Sally, I hear you have a good one for us today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for today's wellness moment, I wanted to talk about something that has really helped me personally in gaining confidence and developing new skills. And that is stepping out of your comfort zone. So if you don't know, a comfort zone is a behavioral space where you do things that minimize stress and risk. So it is where we like to remain as we feel most comfortable in. But outside of our comfort zone, we take risks and open ourselves to new possibilities of stress and anxiety. So before I kind of dive into the topic, I want to say a quote from Brian Tracy, and he says, "Move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you're willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable when you try something new." So while staying in a comfort zone can help you maintain a consistent and steady pattern, stepping out of your comfort zone could be an opportunity for you to grow. So generally, stepping out of your comfort zone has so many benefits. For one, challenging yourself can help you work at your peak performance, and it can increase your creativity, help you be more confident, build trust in yourself. The list really goes on forever. So this season, I recommend all first students to try exploring other things outside of your comfort zone. So whether it is building or working on projects, try something new.
I think that's really, really good advice, Sally. A longtime friend of First, friend of our shows and events, Dr. Imogen Coe, she likes to say that there can be no change without discomfort. And that's a really important quote to me because, as we want to, we talk first, and we're going to be talking about the Chairman's Award in just a second, but the Chairman's Award is about changing culture. That's our goal in First. And there's going to be some discomfort that comes in that. And there's, part of that is the individuals having to step outside their comfort zone. So Sally, is there a time recently or not recently where you've stepped outside your comfort zone and it turned out to be a valuable experience?
Well, this season, it was my first time kind of going into designing the robots. And that was a moment for me to step out of my comfort zone because before I would only work on projects and I would never kind of go near the robot because I was mainly afraid because I also did not have a lot of experience. But I think that by challenging myself this season, I can definitely explore new passions. And from now on, I think I'll definitely be participating more in design.
It's interesting for me. It was very similar, but this is like way back, not a recent one. But when I was in high school, when I was asked to join the robotics team, it just seems so foreign to me. I grew up for the most of my childhood in a small apartment, didn't have a garage, didn't have tools, any of those sorts of things. So I didn't really have the hands-on skills that so many of my friends did. And so when I walked into that robotics lab, I was just like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't actually know how to use a drill. Like, I don't know what to do, but I was like, okay, let me try. And it took a while for me to get there. And like, I'm still not the most mechanical person. That's not really my focus and everything, but stepping out of my comfort zone into the space, I learned new skills, but just all the opportunities that are presented. I look at my career in the robotics industry and everything like that. I never would have dreamed it if I hadn't have stepped out that day. And so it's never too late to step out of your comfort zone because there's always things that you can learn and stuff like that. Like, but at the same time, I understand like patterns and habits. Like, do you play Wordle, Sally?
I actually recently started.
So like I have like my starter word and I always use my starter word. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I should try a different starter word. And then I'm like, no, my starter word works. I'm usually pretty good at getting it in like 3 or 4 tries. I'm sticking to the starter word. But it's so weird how like even something as silly as like a stupid little online game, there's the comfort zone, and stepping out of it, takes a little bit of courage. So shout out to everyone who's been stepping out of their comfort zone recently, because that's a big step. It takes courage, and good on you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sally, thank you. That's a great wellness moment. So now it's time for us to move into the news updates and what's going on around the First World and First Canada. First Canada Live. Hey, everyone, every week, tune in Tuesday nights for you at the show. And remember that once our FRC events start, we'll be hosting the Tuesday night after the event weekend. We will be handing out all the awards from the weekend on First Canada Live. So that's where you're going to find out the Spirit Award winner, Quality Award, Greatest Professionalism Award, Chairman's Award. It's all happening here on First Canada Live. So make sure you're tuning in for that. Speaking of the Chairman's Award, we've got some really big news today. First Headquarters announced that they will be renaming the Chairman's Award after this season to the Impact Award. That's part of their they're reevaluating everything in the program under the lens of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And they realized that Chairman's Award was a bit of a binary name, but also the Impact Award is just a lot more descriptive as to what teams do, because the Chairman's Award typically goes to the team who's made the most impact. And so now it's called the Impact Award. So that's kind of neat. Sally, is your team working on Chairman's submission for this year?
Yes, I'm actually on the main person working on it right now.
How's that going?
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm definitely I feel like I'm really reflecting on our team a lot more and learning about our team's history.
And so what do you think about this new name change, the Impact Award?
I think it really suits the award because I guess the most important thing that we like to talk about in Chairman's is how we impact the first community and how we grow that impact. So I think it really is a good name for that.
Yeah, I think it's also going to be easier when we're talking to sponsors or community members to explain what this award is. Because when you say like, oh yeah, we won the Chairman's Award, like what's that? Like, oh, it's the most important award. Oh, why? And it's like, you have to go through this. But like now, we won the Impact Award. It's the most prestigious award. And no one's going to ask, it's like, oh, you probably made the most impact. So it just, it's very on the nose, but sometimes that's a good thing. I saw that posted online today. And I was like, yeah, that's a good description of all this.
Yeah.
Scholarships. Sally, you've been applying for scholarships. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's applications and all that sort of stuff.
I think a lot of them are actually not in like I don't meet the criteria, but I'm taking a lot of notes down. I'm really listening to the people who's applying right now. So next year for sure I'll take on their
That's
tips.
right. Sorry, Sally. I keep forgetting because you speak with such wisdom. I keep forgetting that you're in grade 11, not in grade 12. But we have some scholarship deadlines coming up. On February 15th, the Build a Dream Skill Trade Scholarship is due. And March 31st, the First Canada Indigenous Scholarship Award is due. And so, if you're out there listening and you're eligible for these, apply. But if you're not eligible, but you know people who might be eligible, let them know, spread the word, because these are great, great opportunities. So if you know an Indigenous student in first who's been having a great experience, has really gained a lot from the program, let them know, hey, there's this scholarship out there. You may want to apply. And who knows, obviously tough competition because so many first students are so spectacular, but everyone's got a shot. I recommend apply. So we just put that link into chat. So that's great. And for our teams, there's a lot going on right now. And one big piece for our teams is that if you're signed up for 2 events right now and you're like, hey, I would love to play again with our robot, you can do that. Third plays this year the registration fee is free of charge, and there are spaces available at Humber Day 1, Windsor, and North Bay. So if you want to, if you're already going to one of these events, or you're going to an event in the area, or you're just like, hey, I want to, I love this robot design so much, we want to try it out again and test it out and do that sort of thing, you can do that. And for free, that's it's a pretty good deal. So if you're interested in a 3rd place spot, email john.hobbins@firstroboticscanada.org, and John Hobbins, our FRC director, will help you out and get you into one of those spots. So that would be really fun. Another thing is, Sally, we have an FRC Ontario team Slack. Did you know that?
I actually did not.
Well, yeah, it's a great space for teams, students, and mentors to collaborate, where they can talk to other teams, get feedback, get input. Especially, I think when teams are, that times when you're working on the robot, you turn it on for the first time, and it's like, oh no, why didn't that motor turn on? What's going on? And you're not sure, and y'all 10 of you put your heads together and you cannot figure it out. You could post about that in Slack, maybe post a little video, say, hey, does anyone know what's going on? And the other teams would be able to help. So it's a great way for our teams to network, communicate, and just support each other. So if you're interested in joining that team Slack, we're going to be dropping that link into chat right now. I think we've got about 30 or 40 teams represented in there. So, 30 or 40 individuals. Some of them might be more from one team, but it'll be great to see. I know it's been a really big deal. It's been working out well in FTC. So hopefully it'll gain some steam for FRC. And teams, if you're looking for other ways to find help, Team 1114, Hall of Fame team, has been working with First Canada over the last, I think it's like 6 years now. They've put together an online help desk. So if you go to frchelpdesk.ca, any questions you have, whether about robot design, strategy, how to build a pick list, how to book hotels even, you can post in there and the team will email you back within 24 to 48 hours. And some, they might even set up a Zoom call with you to chat a little bit more, or maybe even a phone call, who knows? And maybe if COVID goes down a little bit, maybe they'll show up at your shop, who knows? But it's a great way to get help. The First community is so helpful. And if you another source for help, there's so many sources for help for our teams. Check out the First Mentor Network on your First dashboard. So mentors out there, if you're looking for help, go to your First dashboard, sign up for the First Mentor Network, and then you could be paired with other mentors who are looking to help. And if you're a mentor who wants to help more teams, it's like, yeah, we have a lot to give, but we don't know how to reach teams. Sign up for the First Network Mentor Network, and it's there. It's kind of like Tinder for robot mentors. I don't know. That's probably not the right analogy or something like that. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right, Sally? Go with me, right? Yes.
Sure.
Okay, well, let's get away from that terrible analogy and move right on. All our Canadian FRC teams, would you like to come on this show to showcase your robot? I know a lot of teams, when they build a robot, they make a robot reveal video. If you'd like that played on this show before events start, there's a form that was sent out via the latest program update. Fill out that form and you can be on the show, showcasing your robot, showcasing your team, all that cool stuff as we head into events. A great way to get your team some exposure, great way to show the world what you've been up to. So make sure you sign up for that. My camera just froze, but it's there. It's there. Sally, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you
Okay,
now.
okay. I was like, I heard that go boop beep. I'm like, oh no, that's not a good sound. But you know what? I think we're gonna wrap up this segment. News updates are great, and we will be back in just a moment with a word from Georgian College. All right, we're back. And now I'd like to welcome our guests from Georgian College, starting off with Rebecca Savoran. Rebecca is the Dean of Engineering and Environmental Technology Skilled Trades at Georgian College. She holds a Doctor of Philosophy of Mechanical Engineering from the University of Waterloo and a Master of Defense Studies from the and a Bachelor of Engineering, Mechanical Engineering from the Royal Military College of Canada. She worked for many years at the Royal Canadian Air Force. More recently at Georgian College, she worked with the team to launch the mechatronics program and revamped robotics learning laboratory. Welcome, Rebecca. And also we have Stephen Fennell. Stephen Fennell is the Senior Student Recruitment Specialist with Georgian College, who was here with us last year, a proud alumni and a seasoned professional. He knows all about Georgian's programs and services, which span across 7 campus locations in Central Ontario. He loves to talk about Georgian's growth, vision, and the development of new programs in the industry for the future. He believes this is an exciting time for Georgian, especially for programs offered in the area of engineering and environmental technologies. His greatest enjoyment in his career is how exciting and rewarding it can be to connect and attract high caliber students to the leading edge programs that prepare them for exciting careers upon graduation. Welcome back, Stephen.
Thank you, Karthik. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you. We also have David Benili, who is an academic program technologist and acting lead hand for engineering technologists in the Engineering and Environmental Technologies Department at Georgian College. David holds a 309A construction maintenance electrician license and is a graduate of the Georgian Electrical Engineering Technology program. Throughout his career, David has worked in roles focused in automation and renewable energy and owned and operated his own electrical contracting business. Welcome, David. And last but certainly not least, we have Brett Wismer. Brett has over 15 years of experience working in employment industries, both private and public sectors. For the past 7 years, Brett has been working as an employer relations consultant for the Cooperative Education and Career Success Department at Georgian College. In this role, he's responsible for developing opportunities and ensuring career success for the mechanical technician and precision skills, mechanical engineering technology, electrical engineering technician technology, and mechatronics students. Wow, that is a lot you're covering there, Brett. He is also he also doubles as faculty for the dual credit programs of developing leadership. Brett holds a degree in human resource management and an MBA in HR leadership. Welcome, Brett. So thank you to all our friends from Georgian College to come out here today. We're really excited to have you on the show. First, Canada is so proud of the partnership we've had at Georgian College. I've loved coming to that event in the past, and I know didn't work out this year, but we will be back in force in the future. And I think our students really love the experience at Georgian College because I think it provides so many of the same aspects that make FIRST special, that intrinsic kind of hands-on learning and the excitement of team-based projects and all sorts of things like that. But I guess, Stephen, the first question we have is, what are some of the benefits of attending a college like Georgian?
Thank you, Karthik. I think there are so many benefits in attending Georgian, whether it's the connections that we have and continue to make with our industry partners, or perhaps it's the career-oriented nature of our programs. Maybe it's the specialized services dedicated to mental health and well-being, our smaller classes with highly skilled faculty, our incredible learning spaces with access to state-of-the-art labs and innovative technologies. And you'll get to hear more, especially from Brett, about the value-added work experiences. We're very proud to be Ontario's largest co-op college in the province. And again, we believe that there's a great connection with the impressive graduate rates that we continue to boast about year after year. So that's just a few of the benefits of attending Georgian.
Oh, it sounds like there's a lot of good stuff happening at Georgian, a lot of reason for our students to be excited, right, Sally?
Mm-hmm. So the next question I had for Rebecca was, what kind of programs does Georgian offer that students in first might be interested in?
A great question. So we do offer a lot of programs. The ones that I would suggest would be our electrical engineering technician, technologist, mechanical technician, precision skills, mechanical engineering technologist, and mechatronics, which is a new program that we just launched in the fall of 2021. But generally, any engineering degree, I think, is a good fit or a skilled trade.
And Rebecca, in your bio, it said you were like very integral in helping launch that mechatronics program. So you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Because I know mechatronics is such a buzzword amongst our students.
It's actually quite a buzzword at Georgian College. As you can see, David goes and regularly hugs the stations every night that we have here. So we have a lot of Festo stations. We're also developing just an amazing classroom, which should be ready this summer. So mechatronics is a combination of computer science, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. And as an aerospace engineer, there was never a problem on an aircraft that was just related to one type of engineering. So mechatronics really offers that all-encompassing opportunity to learn about many different types of engineering and computer sciences.
You know, it's really interesting, Rebecca, because so many of our students, I think, before mechatronics programs became really popular, people would ask, like, so what kind of engineering do you want to go into? And they would struggle to answer that because on a first team, you like the aircrafts you worked with in aerospace, obviously much scaled down to such. Students are mechanical designers, but then they're wiring, they're doing the electrical systems, and they're figuring out what gauge wire to use and the battery voltage and all that stuff. And then they have to program and solve all of this. And our best students are the ones who have that hybrid. And so then they go into school, and some of them, you know, traditionally we're a little bit almost like, oh, I'm only doing mechanical. And so I think programs like mechatronics really appeal. And then, you know, with the hands-on type of learning experience that you have with those sorts of labs, that's what first students are doing, and that's what they're living. So it's really exciting, a really good synergy there. You know, Stephen, we're probably students who are watching the show today who may just be learning about Georgian College, or may have heard some of it, and they really get hooked from what they're hearing today. Are students still able to apply for this year, or?
Well, in fact, today is technically the deadline to apply for our popular program. So if they get their application in tonight, then we'll be sure to put them into the mix. But the application process will vary depending upon the program that students are applying to and your pathway into Georgian. Really, it's a 5-step process. 1, you have to find your program. Number 2, you've got to meet the admission requirements. And then 3, submit your application. If you're applying to a Georgian diploma, advanced diploma, or any one of our degrees, you would use the ontariocolleges.ca application service. If you were to choose to access one of our Lakehead Georgian partnership degrees, these are the best of both worlds, a diploma and a degree all rolled into one. You would need to use then the UAC application. That's the University Application Service. And then, of course, step 5 would be to follow along and make sure that you've submitted your transcripts, and then track your application in the process.
A lot of steps there, but I think it's really good information for our students. Sally, I'm sure this is really helpful for you, right?
Mm-hmm, for sure. Okay, so another question I had was, are there scholarships available?
Yeah, Sally, I'll take that one. And I know earlier I heard you guys talking about scholarships, and please be sure to explore the scholarships available. Don't fall into that trap where I may not be smart enough. I don't have the highest grades. It's not just academic achievement. It's based on a number of factors, whether it's, work experience, your commitment to volunteerism, maybe athletic ability. You just never know. So there's lots of money out there. We've made it very easy at Georgian with our new online system, making it easier than ever for students to go online, simply enter their student profile, and then we'll direct a lot of the awards, scholarships, and bursaries to them specifically. And if, again, you choose to engage in the Lakehead Georgian process, they've got entrance scholarships. And these are renewable. So maintain your average while going to class. And again, your pockets will be lined with cash. So it's a very cool process.
Stephen, you touched on something really important. It's just a good reminder for all our students out there. You are all absolutely capable, all absolutely valued, and very deserving. So anyone who's out there who's feeling like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, believe in yourself the way that we believe in you. And the opportunities are out there. I've met so many students over the years who've applied for scholarships after much cajoling from parents and teachers and guidance counselors, and they're like, oh my goodness, I actually got one. I never thought I would have. And so, just apply, folks. You're all.
Karthik, there are a number of scholarships that go unclaimed because students aren't applying. And
the opportunities are there, folks. Take advantage of them. That's you're hearing from the experts, the ones who truly know what's going on. So, Georgian is known for strong industry partnerships. I was wondering, maybe Rebecca or David, if you want to tell us a little bit more about some of those partnerships.
Definitely, I'll start, and then David can touch on some points. So as a dean, I am required to meet with members of industry twice a year. We have a committee. It's called a Program Advisory Committee, and it occurs for every program. Actually, Brett will participate also, and maybe David if he's so inclined. And it's our opportunity to talk to industry about new technologies, emerging trends, how our students are doing on their co-ops, and how our students are doing as graduates and working within the company. So that's a really good mechanism for us to ensure that our curriculum is meeting industry's needs. At the same time, we're very lucky. We have a research and innovation hub here at Georgian. So industry comes to us sometimes with their problems, and we use our faculty and our students to help work through the problem solving and maybe come up with a solution that's, or not maybe, generally come up with a solution that's innovative. And then I would be remiss if I didn't talk about our partnerships. So we have very key partnerships with quite a few industries in the local area. The three that I'd like to mention are just Toronto Hydro, Honda, and Magna. So we have the opportunity to meet with their executives, talk about how things are going, and getting back to scholarships. They provide scholarships to our students, and they will also tell us what sort of equipment, or suggest us what sort of equipment they're using so we can procure it, and they'll even offset the cost of some of that procurement. So that's my sort of big part about working with industry, and I know David will provide more information.
You kind of stole my thunder, but I'll just reiterate that the success of our program is based off of our industry partnerships. We wouldn't be who we are without them inputting and giving us advice as to what we need to do in order to make or produce students that are usable in industry. The partnerships also have helped us financially in buying current and up-to-date pieces of equipment, whether it be our Festo stations for mechatronics, or whether it be our robots like Kuka or Fanuc or UR robots. We wouldn't be able to do that without our industry partnerships.
And with these partnerships, I know you talked about earlier, Georgian is the top co-op college in the province. Brett, I'm wondering if you have any examples of types of work terms that students could possibly get while attending Georgian.
Yeah, certainly it depends on the program that you're enrolled in, but we see anything from on the mechanical engineering side to operations technicians, fabrication engineers, engineering design, QA technicians. One of our great programs too, it's always oversubscribed, is the mechanical technician precision skills. So we have 3 5-axis machines, CNC operators, machinist, general machinist, drafting technicians, and on the electrical side too, we get grid operations, electrical designers, control technicians, robotic engineers. And then even we're looking forward to our very first co-op cohort for the mechatronics program. So we're excited to start posting opportunities for robotics programmers, electromechanical engineering engineers, automation engineers, 3D printing technicians, and certainly a lot of the robotics stuff that makes us really excited about all these, the reasons why students are going to schools, get these great positions.
I know for the first students out there, they hear, like, I can get a job as a 3D printing technician, because all they do is fiddle with 3D printers. It's like their hobby. They're building them in their basements, you know.
How great is that?
That's the dream right there. That's pretty cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone from Georgian College. We really appreciate you coming on the show. We're really excited for our students to hear about these programs. I know plenty of them will be applying using the instructions that Stephen gave either this year or next year, and we'll see more and more of them there. And we can't wait to see you again in person for a great FRC event at Georgian College. So looking forward to that. Thanks for being on the show, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. And Sally, we're going to be back in just a moment after a word from Waterloo Engineering.
Whether it's virtual or in person, when you join Waterloo Engineering, you join the Waterloo Engineering community.
You are about to see what happens when the real world of engineering enters the classroom.
I would encourage all of our engineering students to push yourself, challenge yourself, take on new responsibilities. You help to make the world a better place.
The community is great. Everyone's really ambitious. Everyone has amazing goals, and it really pushes you to test your limits and learn new skills.
All right, we are back. And for our next segment, I'd like to please welcome first from the University of Waterloo, Dr. Peter Tierstra, Director of the Student Design Center in the Faculty of Engineering and continuing lecturer in the Department of Mechanical and Mechatronics Engineering. Peter has been teaching at Waterloo since 2003 and took on the role of the Director of the Cedric Student Design Center, the SDC, in 2010 when it opened. The SDC is a Faculty of Engineering facility dedicated to supporting undergraduate student teams, the clubs, folks, like the first team. Currently supporting more than 20 different teams from a wide range of engineering disciplines, the SDC is the largest facility of its kind in North America, and it is wild in there. I love just walking through there. Pete spends his days working closely with student teams, helping them access the tools, materials, working spaces, and other resources they need to be successful. When he's not working, Pete can be found camping, fishing, snowmobiling, or working on projects at home. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Karthik.
It's good to see you. It's been a while, you know, it's just everything that's been going on. Beautiful background you got there. We can see some of the great scenery from Waterloo. Also, we have a current University of Waterloo student, Elena Hansen, who's a 3A mechatronics engineering student. Elena is very passionate about robotics. When she was in high school, she is a first alum. She was the driver of her first team, 7022, and also participated in the mechanical, electrical, and business parts of the team. So basically everything. After starting university, she joined the UW robotics team and later became the team lead. Elena is also involved with the Waterloo Engineering Society, orientation team, and engineering ambassadors. Her first co-op was at RoboHub, a research facility on campus, and most recently has worked as a mechanical intern at Tesla. Congratulations on that Tesla internship, Elena.
Thank you.
Those aren't easy to come by. Obviously doing the right things. I'm sure, you know, saying you're a first alum had a little bit of help on the resume right there. So Pete, you know, it's been a while since our students have been to the campus of the University of Waterloo. University of Waterloo has been a longtime partner of First Canada. We had the first event when I was still an undergrad back in 2005. That was wild. You know, it's really funny because we started doing the Waterloo chant at that event, water, 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 Loo, 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 and it's just become a thing. But I remember I was emceeing at the first championship one year, and there was a bunch of Canadian teams in the division, and I decided to try it. I did a water, water, water down at first championship in St. Louis, but it wasn't just the Canadian teams. All the American teams came in too, because it's just so recognized, because that event at Waterloo has developed so much history over the years, and some of the top teams from around the world have come to it. So it's just really, really special. But I guess for our audience who may not be familiar with Waterloo Engineering, what can you share about the programs and what students who are interested in robotics who have done first, like Elena, what should they be looking for?
Sure. Happy to talk about Waterloo. I've been teaching there, as I said, for many years. we are one of the top ranked engineering schools in Canada. We're ranked within the top 50 engineering schools in the world. And a lot of it, I think, is to do with our approach in terms of education. We really take sort of a hands-on, immersive approach to engineering education, giving students sort of experiences beyond the classroom. We really pride ourselves with that. Sort of our centerpiece of that is our co-op program. And Karthik, you'd have had this experience going through co-op, right? We have 6 co-op opportunities that undergraduate students have during their time at Waterloo. And it gives them an opportunity to try different styles of companies and different, employers, and even different areas of the country if they want to, experience, working in the US, or it gives them this well-rounded experience of what it really means to be an engineer. So that's a big part of engineering at Waterloo is the co-op experience. But not only that, access to state-of-the-art facilities. We've continued to build new buildings and put the latest equipment in buildings, and that undergrad students have experience with that and have opportunities to work with that new and cutting-edge equipment. And it should be mentioned as well that the Waterloo region has really become a heart of Canada's sort of entrepreneurial culture. There's so many startup companies in the Waterloo region, and there's so many close connections between Waterloo students and Waterloo graduates and these startup companies that are in the region. So it's just such a great place for students to study and to work on co-op and to experience that. And then as well, just at home, we have, back in the Design Center, we do have student teams. And I know Elena is probably going to talk a little bit about her experience working with student teams at Waterloo, but we have over 20 student teams. And pretty much any program, any faculty, any style of engineering you're interested in, we likely have a student team that would match those needs. So lots of different opportunities.
Yeah, there's so much going on at Waterloo. And, you talked about the entrepreneurship, like very recently, a first alum, Alex Rodriguez, went to the University of Waterloo, and he's been in the news recently. His company just went public on the NASDAQ at $5.2 billion. He's only 25 years old, but a Waterloo, former Waterloo mechatronics student. So just wild to think about those things. And you said about the co-op programs, Peter. I know I did mine through the Faculty of Mathematics, which is also a great faculty. Just got to get my, shout out there with the pink tie and all. But it was valuable for me because not only did it help me learn what I wanted to do, it helped me learn what I didn't want to do. I went into the Faculty of Mathematics assuming that I would, follow in my father's footsteps and become a professor, and I would get a PhD and I would do a life of research. I just thought that was going to be me. And then I had a great opportunity. I had an NSERC grant and did a research semester, and I hated it. It was not for me. I learned a lot, but it taught me that this isn't the lifestyle I wanted. And then I had other opportunities to work in industry, and it's like, whoa, I like being out there. And it really opened my eyes. And I'm sure, Elena, you probably had similar experiences like that. But I know, Sally, this is a lot to take in. I'm wondering if you have a question for Elena or Peter.
Yeah, so Elena, why did you choose Waterloo Engineering and your specific program, which was mechatronics engineering?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be an engineer since maybe starting high school. It was kind of clear for me that I wanted to go into this kind of hands-on program. But up until grade 12, I was convinced that I was going into biomedical engineering. And then I joined FRC in grade 12, and I fell in love with robotics, and I decided to pursue mechatronics instead, which I think happens for a lot of people that join first. Mechatronics takes an interdisciplinary approach to engineering. So we cover topics like mechanical, electrical, software, system design, and robotics, and first kind of fit into that. Working with interdisciplinary machines and everything kind of fits really well into what you work on in first and then what you work on in the program.
They're just, it's really neat that how many students we talk to who've had that transformative experience where a little bit of exposure to first and then exposure to the various schools by going to events really affects their career plans, their career path. So, Peter, I mentioned it earlier, the history between First and Waterloo is immense. We've had some of the best matches in First history, not just Canada's history, have happened in the PAC. And it's funny because I had years and years of memories of the PAC of a place of dread where I would be writing final exams. And now it's like a place where I just remember all these glorious first moments. But how does Waterloo Engineering support First Robotics?
Well, you mentioned the first way, being a really proud sponsor of events. And we've, as you said, we've hosted so many competitions for FRC. We've also had the Provincial West Championship for FLL for a number of years. And I don't love it more, but I certainly do love seeing the kids and seeing the excitement that first LEGO League challenge competition brings. And just recently, we're so kicking the tires on bringing in FDC competition as well. So we are supportive of events. We're really hoping to be able to run Waterloo this year. We're really trying hard to make that happen, and things are looking good so far. But there's so much more that we do than just the competitions. We do have scholarships available. Some programs do have scholarships, but even besides scholarships, the people who do admissions, they know all about FIRST. When they see FIRST on a resume, they know what that means. And especially if you've had an integral part of your FIRST team, that scores points when it comes to admissions and when they're looking at that. So, we really recognize that FIRST, you provide us with really good students. The student experience is second to none. We also, interestingly, we have a student group within our Student Design Center, and they do a robot in 3 days competition. So I don't know that they had the opportunity this year. I think COVID kind of killed it again, but I have a feeling next year they're going to want to do this. As soon as the game is released, 72 hours later, they've built a robot. And these are undergraduate students doing this. It's really exciting to see. And then finally, just opportunities to pursue robotics even further, right? So getting into, research assistantships, working with professors, co-op positions, being part of a student team. There's so many different opportunities to sort of take, explore robotics at the next level in the university, and even getting into graduate work, right? There's just lots of opportunities.
We've talked a little bit about the clubs, and you work in the design center and such. Are there some clubs that maybe that for students might be especially interested in?
I'm going to let Elena talk a little bit about the robotics team if she wishes, because I think that's her thing. But you know what? My experience with FIRST students are, you guys are so well-rounded. You bring project management and teamwork skills that are just, I think they're valuable no matter what team you end on. If you're building houses with Warrior Home, or you're making race cars with the Formula team, or you're making canoes or toboggans made of concrete that go down a ski hill. I think FIRST experience is great for any of those activities.
Yeah. So Elena, why don't we jump over to you, and why don't you tell us a little bit more about the UW robotics team?
Yeah. So yes, the UW robotics team gets a ton of FIRST students. I think the fact that it is a robotics team really draws those people in. But like Prof. Tierstra says, there's FIRST students in every design team that we have on campus. It's really, once you get out of high school, there's such a vast majority, there's such a vast amount of things you can get involved with, and special areas you can get build your skills in, that you can really join any team and hone those skills for what you want to work on in the future and what you want to work on now. But definitely I joined the robotics team because that was where I felt the most at home coming from FIRST. And it was really cool because you got to work with people from different FIRST teams and people who've never done FIRST before, and really get that cross-platform experience and work on a really cool robot.
It's very exciting. There's so much going on. Wow. What do you think of all this, Sally?
I think that's so interesting. And I'm honestly so happy that if I choose to hopefully get into Waterloo, then I can continue my passion for robotics. And I think that's so unique. I don't really hear that a lot from other universities. So that's super interesting. Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions for Peter or Elena?
Yeah, so for Peter, what does experiential learning look like at Waterloo Engineering, and what can future students look forward to inside and outside of the classroom?
There's maybe I'll highlight just a couple of things. There's so many opportunities for experiential learning. Maybe two that I will highlight. The first is our Engineering Ideas Clinic. This is something, our newest building, in fact, it's behind me. That's the view of it. On the first floor, there is a space called the Engineering Ideas Clinic. And it's provided us with opportunities to get a large class together and do hands-on activities. We have design days where students are given materials and a design challenge, and they have to work through the design challenge. And it's this opportunity. So we have that sort of the first year, we're launching it in the second or third year. We're really giving students an opportunity to do creative hands-on activities in that space. And then the other opportunity, of course, experiential learning is, again, the student teams. I'm gonna say that one more time, because that really, I think it's such a key thing, just being able to, have that experience and, be able to walk into a co-op resume with not just your marks and not just, what you did in the classroom, but say, hey, I was on the Formula team. Here's the suspension system that I designed. It's such a bonus to be able to show, what you've achieved in that setting.
That's such a great point, Peter, because, when doing job interviews and such, there's only so much you can ask about your your second year differential equations course. That's not what people want to talk about in these interviews. It's not a talking point. And interviewing, if you're interviewing for a junior level engineering position, everyone's going to have taken the same courses pretty much here or there from whatever schools they went to. But those actual experiences, whether they be in co-op or whether they be on teams like that, that's what people want to hear. And like Elena, I'm sure you have this portfolio of cool things that you've designed and worked on that you can show people and talk about, right?
Yeah, definitely have a really fantastic portfolio from student teams.
Yeah, and do you think that our students would love to hear, because you work for Tesla. So in that interview, were you able to utilize your first experience in that interview?
Yeah, 100%. They asked me a couple questions about like design work that I'd done, and I was able to draw on my experience from my design teams, things that I'd built, problems that I'd run into and how we solved them. All of that came up, and all of it was, I think, part of what got me the job and helped me get there in the first place.
Wow. And were there many of your classmates, many Waterloo students that go to Tesla each semester?
There are a decent amount of people that do end up at Tesla. I think the design experience really helps, like being involved in those design teams and getting that experience and building those portfolios. People who have those experiences, they really stand out when they're applying for jobs, because they know that you generally have a sense of what you're doing a little bit, and like they can train you and you're not just coming in with like no experience whatsoever.
That's fantastic. Peter, Elena, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always great to talk University of Waterloo, talk about everything that's going on. Peter, like you said, we're moving ahead toward that event in just a few weeks. I'm planning to be there as the MC, so I'm excited to get my jersey back on, do a good water.
Lulu.
That's how we do. That's right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all the support the University of Waterloo's had for First Canada. We wouldn't be here without it. So, and for everyone else, we will be back with the Youth Council talking mental health in just a moment.
Thanks.
Sally, that was a lot of fun hearing from the various schools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure for you're in grade 11, but I guess there's a lot of information out there. And does it help hearing directly from the schools like this?
Definitely so much, especially virtually. I think that's a great opportunity for students anywhere in the world to listen in. So I think this opportunity is really great.
Yeah, it's I think back, I get it, I'm old. It was a long time ago, but when I was applying, like the only way you could really figure out what was going on with the school is by visiting the campus. And it's hard to visit campuses across the province or across the country, and so students, now that these opportunities exist, so many schools, on our show, we showcase schools, but if you go to their websites, they have virtual open houses, they have tours, they have all sorts of things. I just learn as much as you can, because, you're going to spend 4 or 5 years at this school, and it's a huge chunk of your life, and so many defining experiences will happen there. You want to put the time into it. Sometimes I find myself, I will spend hours and hours like looking at, like trying to decide between 2 shirts when I'm buying them online, and I'm like, I really put more time into deciding about the shirt than I did when I was trying to figure out what university to go to. So take the time, the resources out there. It's all really fantastic. But now we're going to change things up a little bit. So we got a couple of your friends coming on. That's right, the First Canada Youth Council. So let's bring out Vanshika from FRC Team 2056, OP Robotics. Welcome back. It's been so long since you've been on the show, Vanshika, right?
I know, Karthik. It feels like it's been like a year since I've been on First Canada Live.
Exactly. A week. What are we talking about here? And of course, we have Zoe J from Team 771 SWAT. Welcome, Zoe.
Thank you, Karthik.
How are you doing? I know I've heard from Vanshika earlier, her team's going to be meeting soon. How's SWAT doing?
We're doing pretty good. We actually had our first in-person meeting today. So all the technical leads right now are like working on designing the robot and everything. So that's pretty cool.
Are you like half on the show here, half catting on the side? Is that what's happening?
No, I didn't go to the meeting today, but I'll be going again on Thursday. So I'm excited.
And Vanshika, is Tyler putting you to work right now? Or are you catting stuff up on the side?
Honestly, I'm going to be seeing Tyler for the first time tomorrow. So, that's going to be exciting, seeing my members after 2 years in person.
Exciting. Not kidding. I love Tyler. It's going to be great. I haven't seen people in so long. It's weird to think about. Well, thank you for coming on the show today. I know you have a lot of stuff you want to chat to us about the importance of mental health when dealing with, uncertainty, finding a balance. So take it away.
All right, so if you look on the screen, there's going to be a join code, and this is just so you can kind of participate in the interactive part of this segment. So if you go to joinpd.com and then put in that code, you'll be able to participate in those interactive parts. So we'll just give everyone a minute to join.
And I just want to add really quickly, it is anonymous, so we won't even see it, but it will ask for your email.
Ermine kangaroos loudly conduct hilarious turnips. Kangaroos can be determined, I can see that. They're loud. The turnips, I'm having a hard time, seeing what's going on there, but
That is like a really odd fact.
Yeah, it is. It's a good way to. I always would have said duckelchit. That's how I would pronounce that to remember it. But determined kangaroos loudly conduct hilarious turnips is good as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Vanshika, what's happening next?
Do you mean like in this segment or
yes, yes, in this in life? So what's going on, friend?
I don't know what he's asking me here. Oh my god. Okay. Well, we want to ask you, which sheep do you feel like today? Karthik, which one do you feel like today?
Oh, well, I'm number 9 because anyone who's seen me at FRC events knows I'm bouncing around, I'm jumping, I'm kicking the glass. So I am definitely number 9. What about you, Zoe?
I think I'm gonna have to go with number 5. I had a test this morning, so I'm feeling kind of tired now. Okay. But yeah, Sally, what about you?
I think I'm a mix of 6 and 9, kind of calm, but like super excited on the inside. Yeah. What about you, Vanshika?
I definitely think a 9, especially just being on here, as well as being able to go back in person tomorrow, even though I've said that like a million times now, but I'm super excited.
A lot of good sheep there. I appreciate the one with the bucket on its head.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll be diving into our first topic, which is dealing with uncertainty. So we'll be asking a general question to everyone. Should be on the screen.
We've got another question coming up in the peer deck.
Yeah.
Peer deck. I keep calling it a peer deck. Because it's like, you step on the deck and you peer out into,
Don't worry, I messed it up a couple of times as well myself.
Okay, there we go. We're a team. High five right there.
But also, if you aren't on the thing, you can also just put stuff in the chat as well.
Yeah.
To participate.
We are keeping an eye on the Twitch chat. So, but we do want that pear deck back up right now if we can get it up there. But maybe while we're waiting for that to come on, maybe you want to start talking to us a little bit about uncertainty.
Sure. Oh, sorry. Hang on. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so yeah, recently we definitely all had to deal with uncertainty with the pandemic and then moving back from virtual to in-person now, especially with the team meetings too. So I want to ask Vanshika and Zoe, how has mental health been for you guys during this time?
I definitely think it's been really hard, especially with like everything changing like all the time, especially with like school, like the different like styles of like learning and everything. It's been like really hard, but I think with the little like, how we're going back in person now and everything's going back to normal, I think it kind of helps. But Zoe, how do you feel about it?
I think it's been a bit of a roller coaster throughout the entire pandemic, and I think most people can relate to that. But it's really nice being back in person and being able to talk to everyone, especially people who you don't stay in contact with as much when you're like in virtual school. So I'm glad we're back. And I also find it easier to learn stuff when we're in person. So it's also helping in that aspect. Sally, how about you?
Me too. I definitely think roller coaster is the way to describe it. A lot of ups and downs, but generally, like you guys, I'm really excited to just go back to in person, just get like back to the normal kind of routine. Mm-hmm.
And
so
on that note, Sally, I think we actually have the pear deck ready, so it's going to come up in just a second.
Okay, perfect.
But like, I think we want to take first, maybe let's take a look at the responses before bringing up the next question. So we'll do that.
Sounds good.
All right, so we've got a 3, a 4, a 9. Okay.
Everybody's like feeling really gloomy today.
Well, the nine's jumpy, so there's that. But you know,
Yeah.
it's February, a little bit of the blahs set in, and so that's why we're talking about mental health, so people can understand how to, you know, deal with the blahs. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, and did we want the next question, Sally? Is that what we wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the Pear Deck for the next question.
Yeah. So the next question I have for everyone is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your mental health when dealing with uncertainty? What would you say, Zoe, for yourself?
I think it's kind of a range, somewhere between like a 3 and a 6, I'd say. I think it depends on the situation, but it's genuinely not that great when everything's really uncertain. How about you, Vanshika?
I definitely think like between like maybe, you know, a 4 or like a 7, but like especially being like a senior student in high school with the uncertainty of like not knowing where I'm going to get in for university, it's definitely like somewhere between like an 8 or a 9. But I like Zoe said, you know, it really just depends on like the situation. But Sally, like, how are you with uncertainty?
I think I'm like a 4 and between 4 or 6. Yeah, I also agree. It depends on the situation. What about you, Karthik?
No, I think I used to be like a 1 or a 2, to be completely honest. And over the years, I've worked on coping skills and, you know, really learning from mentors about how to handle things best. But I think, you know, for so much of our life, especially when we're young, we have like a set path, you know, it's like every day is like you have a plan, it's laid out for you. You know, you go, oh, I've got these 4 classes that I'm going to go to. I'm going to do my homework now. I'm going to do this, then I'm going to go to robotics. And I think the last 2 years, so much of it's just been upheaval, you know, and I'm a creature of habit. I like routine. I like to do my days in the same way and like kind of start my day and, you know, answer emails and get some project work done. And when that kind of gets tossed out of sort, it's like, okay, what's happening? How do I get my feet back on the ground? You know, and it's trying to make sure to understand that uncertainty is a part of life and it will happen. So it's almost like involving uncertainty into your routine so that your routine is not so ironclad that if something gets put out of place that you're going to be thrown off. And that's helped me move it from like a 1 to like, I think, you know, like a 7 or 8 right now. I'm ready to throw something at me. I'm ready, you know, and working at First, we always have new things, new adventures. And I think all of you could probably relate. There's nothing more uncertain than a competition, you know, of what's going to happen. You think it's like, oh yeah, we got the robot going and it is great. And the first 2 matches went great. Then all of a sudden, oh no, a gearbox shaft just sheared. And what are we going to do? And there's like panic. But it's like almost like, okay, I need to know that there's something's going to happen. Matches will not be perfect. And if that kind of being certain that there will be uncertainty, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, that's also a way for us to like grow also and adapt to new situations. Mm-hmm. So Zoe and Vanshika, what are some ways you guys deal with uncertainty, especially with the pandemic? Do you have any tips for anyone who's watching on how to deal with this?
I think on my team, the best way we deal with it is just like communication. I think especially just being virtual for so long, communication has just been like key to just making sure that everybody's on like the same page. Cause like without communication, like nobody knows what's going on. But like if you do communicate, it's like you feel a lot better, as crazy as it might sound. It feels like everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's feeling the same thing. And that just makes you feel a little bit better, you know? But Zoe, what about you?
Yeah, I think communication is obviously really important. Then also if you're dealing with uncertainty and you're just really stressed about it, just kind of venting to someone or like almost complaining about it with your friends, it's kind of therapeutic and it's really nice just because it like helps you to realize that you're not alone and everyone's feeling like that, which can be really nice. Sally, what about you?
I have to agree on you on venting. I think that's my favorite thing to do now. But something I recently started doing is reading the news. And before I used to not read the news at all, but like given the pandemic, I feel like I've kind of like wanted to know what's happening around the world more. So that's something I've been doing recently. Yeah.
One thing that's important to our society as a whole is that we stay informed, you know, using fully vetted sources, and we're not, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. So it's really important. It's on us to be informed so we know what's happening and we can confidently speak to what's going on. And, you know, uncertainty, like that means, you know, something is uncertain. How do you address that? Is try and find the things that are certain. And again, Shika, I think it was a really good point. A lot of uncertainty sometimes just comes from a lack of communication because people aren't in the loop. And so I think as leaders on first teams, like many of the people in the audience are, it's your responsibility to give a little bit more of certainty to your teammates and to pass information and to share things. And for mentors who are watching, our students are dealing with uncertainty. They're talking about it right now. What can you do to make the students feel a little bit more secure in their place and a little bit more certain? Because I think we all agree that uncertainty is something that creates challenges. So there's dealing with the challenge, but there's also working to eliminate some of the reasons why the challenge exists in the first place.
For sure. I think that's great advice for everyone. So another question I had was, how do you guys feel with the uncertainty of how the competition will run this season? And how are your team and your teammates doing?
I think everything is still a bit up in the air right now for most teams and even just like events in general. So that's definitely not great for us because I think it causes a lot of stress. But something that me and a couple of my friends are doing is we're signing up to volunteered events. So if for some reason our team can't attend them, we can still get the experience of going to competitions because that's like such an irreplaceable experience and such an important part of being on first team. And yeah.
And I'm just gonna throw a plug out there, Zoe. Like there is, I kind of, sometimes maybe I enjoy volunteering more than competing. It's so much fun. You just, first of all, you get to give this great experience to teams, but it's not just an altruistic thing. It's just fun being out there right by the field and, doing whatever job it may be, from field reset, where like you're going to be chasing cargo down the field and you're going to be helping robots get on and off the field, and or maybe being an inspector or a queuer where you would get to talk to all the teams as they pass through the lineups. It's it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I also think like, especially on teams, like I know I said communication, but it's also like talking about like how you feel as well about this is like really, really like important, because like if you're feeling like super uncertain about something, you're obviously not going to put everything into like whatever you're doing, if that makes sense, kind of. And like if you're not expressing how you're feeling, then it's just like not everything's going to go well. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of just like how I think of it. And I think like, especially with competitions, it's like, if everybody's communicating about how they're feeling, everybody understands that, okay, this person's not doing good. Maybe I should help them out and support them and make them feel a little bit more better about this, especially with like competitions and like the stress that some people might have, like, oh, is the robot going to work? Or is this going to work? I think just like expressing how you're feeling is really, really important.
Yeah, I really agree with you. Like just making sure we all know that we're all in the same boat is really important. And like you said, talking about how we feel. I guess it's time to now check the responses.
All right, let's take a look at our pair deck. Okay, you got a 3, got a 6, got a 9. Okay.
Okay. Pretty.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
But
I think that's pretty accurate though.
I just wanted to say though, the best way to deal with uncertainty is finding balance for sure. I know that I see the pair deck is coming up. Yeah, so in the pair deck answer, do you ever find it difficult to balance school first and personal life? More importantly, Sally, what about you? What do you think about this?
1000%. Especially given the uncertainty, I think it has been even harder. What about you, Zoe?
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult, especially because I know a lot of people who are in the first program are taking like really hard courses, like taking all 3 sciences, all the maths, and like not taking spares or anything. And that can be really overwhelming, especially in build season when you have meetings till like 9 o'clock, at least twice a week. So it's definitely a bit of a challenge. What about you, Vanshika?
Yeah, I definitely think balancing like everything is like a sort of skill at this point almost, because like managing everything is like super hard, especially like as high school students, because like we're growing on our own. So we're figuring out how our, time management skills are, what we want to do, what we don't want to do. So I think like finding a balance between like everything can be a hard thing, but once you do achieve that, it's amazing. But like following up on that, like, have you experienced feeling overwhelmed?
Absolutely. I think, especially with exams, which happened a couple weeks ago, when you're like studying for the exams and you have to go to meetings and you have to kind of shuffle everything around in your schedule, that can be really stressful and really overwhelming. And then that can almost help stop you from being really productive because you're like worried about it and you're spending time worrying about it instead of like studying, which makes it worse in a way. So yeah, definitely something I've experienced. What about you, Sally?
Yeah, for sure. I think I felt the most overwhelmed recently in January because that was my exam season. And on top of exam season, we had a lot of things to do during robotics, such as chairmans and working on sponsorships. But it also really helped me knowing that a lot of us go through the same thing where we feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have exams, so I did not have to deal with that. But I know that a lot of teams out there were feeling really overwhelmed, especially like figuring out, hey, are we going to compete or are we not going to compete? Because that was such a big decisions that like everybody had to make. And I know that feeling overwhelmed really sucks, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like as long as you get the support you need and you talk to someone, you communicate, like it all goes away. But Karthik, have you ever experienced feeling overwhelmed?
Oh, I mean, it's I don't want to say it's part of life, but sometimes it can be part of life. It just I remember being in university at times, there's just a lot going on. I've worked in a variety of jobs and some of them were very intense and very stressful. And there were times where it was too much. I was just like, I can't, I can't do this. I just look at it, it's like, there's no way this is getting done. And what am I going to do? And so I think it's so important in those moments to have a support system that you can look to. And so often it's just someone's being like, Karthik, you can do this. You are capable of doing this. You have the ability to do it. And so like my big strategy is when I'm feeling overwhelmed is, okay, first of all, I grab a piece of paper. It's like, I need to make a list. I need to know what needs to be done. And then stop looking at things as like a big giant project and break it down into steps and chip away at it. And then sometimes it's like, oh, I can actually do this. I used to be a terrible procrastinator where it was going to be things. And like the longer I would leave things, the scarier it would get. And would get so scary. Oh, I don't want to think about it. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to take a nap and then I won't have to think about it and I'll feel better. Then you wake up, it's like, oh no, I just lost 2 hours because I took a nap. And that panic of being overwhelmed. But I find that breaking things down into chunks and surrounding yourself with people who will remind you that you're capable and that you can do these things. And it's like, okay, I've got this. And I'm going to do these 3 things today and these 3 things tomorrow and these 3 things the next day, but also leaving some space in your day because like we said, uncertainty, there's always going to be extra things that would be thrown on. And before, when I first thought I had things managed, to be like, okay, I've scheduled my days, but then a 4th thing gets thrown on. I'm like, oh no, I can't do it. I had a plan and now my plan's gone. And so it's like leaving some space, expecting some uncertainty. These topics all tie together there. But I think the number one thing is if you're feeling overwhelmed is to try and step back from it and talk to others for support, let them know, it's really helpful. And one of the reasons I love working at First Canada is I work with great coworkers and great staff members, who if I do feel overwhelmed, you can let someone know and they'll be like, yeah, we can give you support in this area, or yeah, you've got this. And things aren't always as bad as they seem, and if you are in your life surrounded by folks who aren't supportive when you're overwhelmed, it may need to reevaluate some things and just kind of think about, okay, is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing?
I definitely think one healthy approach that I take, other than like talking to people, is like breathing exercises. Like I feel like just taking like, if you're really, really overwhelmed with something or you're just like feeling this like anxiety, I think you can just like take a few deep breaths, look away from whatever you're doing, whether that be like your homework or whatever, take like 2 or 5 minutes for yourself, go walk around, go do something that you love, and then come back. And I think you just feel like less overwhelmed because you're looking at it with like a new, like fresh pair of eyes kind of. But Sally, what do you think? What are some healthy approaches that you use?
One healthy approach that I recently started using is asking for help. And that used to be something I ran away from. I used to hate doing it. I wanted to be completely independent. But now I've kind of realized that as we get like older and even closer to like senior year in high school, it's okay to ask for help. So like asking for an extension if you have a lot of things piled on, or like asking to miss a meeting if you have to work on exam. I just think that it's important to recognize that asking for help is okay, and a lot of people do have to ask for help. Another healthy approach I like to take is just talking it out to people. So I know Zoe mentioned earlier venting to people, but that really helps me with like anxiety and stress, especially if I can talk to someone that relates to what I'm feeling. So I like to vent as well.
You know, we talk so much about building robots, and what's like one of the biggest rules of building robots: don't try and do too much, stay within your means. And for a lot of times when you're feeling overwhelmed, you have to think about, how did I get here? Why am I overwhelmed? And there's such a, and you know, we just talked to these amazing folks at Georgian College and the University of Waterloo about all these amazing clubs at their schools and all these opportunities. And part of you is always going to want to join everything and do everything, but understand you can't do everything. And if you try to do everything, you may end up failing in some areas. So just you have to make some hard decisions, pick the things you want to focus on, and then focus on those to prevent getting in a spot where you're overwhelmed. I always say, you know, with a robot, your priority list is always going to be number 1, your drivetrain, number 2, acquiring the game piece, and then it goes on from there. In our lives, our number 1 priority is our own health. Our number 2 priority is our families and the people surrounding us. And then for students, the number 3 priority then comes school, you know, so but you have to be able to take care of your health as such. And then you can add on layers if you're ready to, but you need to focus on the core things: your health, your family, school. And then, you know, there's clubs, and then there's other things that go on there. And most people can balance some of those things, but if you try and do like, yeah, I'm going to swim competitively and be on the soccer team and be on the first team, it's like, oh, there's a lot going on there. Make sure you can handle it. It's just like if you're saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the traverse bar from the mid bar, and we're going to build a high shooter, and we're going to shoot from every location on the field. It's like, maybe we should do a little bit less.
Yeah. Zoe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, Karthik, what you brought up is definitely super important. I think a lot of people, especially our age, when you're worried about your resume for university and everything, and like how many extracurriculars you're doing and how you can be more competitive in acceptance, a lot of people forget to prioritize their own health, and that kind of becomes something lower on the list, and it's more like grades and extracurriculars. And I think it's really important that you make sure you, like, yes, it's important to maintain that, but you have to maintain your own health as well. So yeah, I think that's super important. And I think a really good way of doing that is like when you're studying, building in breaks into what you're doing, or even if you're having meetings, even if it's just like getting up and like walking around your house, or like going to get some water, or like washing your face or something. It's just really nice. It can kind of also help you like refocus on what you're doing, so you're not distracted. And I always find it really helpful.
I definitely agree. And I think one way you can find balance in like your own team is just like splitting the workload and just like making like an organized schedule so that everybody's like on track. But let's see what the audience had to say.
Go back to the Pear Deck.
Okay, everybody's on like the same page here. I see.
I mean, you know, it goes back to one of the comments from earlier. It's always nice just to hear from others, to know like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not alone in feeling this way.
Yeah, I definitely think that's really important.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that kind of transitions us into our next topic, which is getting support. So the question on the screen: what are some things you do to look after your mental health? You guys can answer that on your Pear Deck. But Sally, what are some things that you do to help improve your mental health?
A hobby I recently started doing is reading. So I really like reading YA fiction, fantasy books. Right now I'm reading The Inheritance Schemes. I don't know if anyone's read it before.
But I think so good.
Yeah, it's so good so far. Yeah, but reading, it just like helps me stay away from my phone, because usually my phone is like the number one thing that kind of causes me like stress and anxiety. So yeah, anything to like distract me and spend less time, like screen time, I think that's like something I do to help my mental health. What about you, Vanshika?
I think I'm like the complete opposite. Like, other than the fact that like I use like this like 2-minute rule where I'll be like, if I can get this done in 2 minutes, then I'm gonna get it done. So it's like out of the way. But other than that, I realized that like, especially like after like finishing like first semester overall, I realized that the one thing that helped my mental health was just like not using my brain at all for like the last couple of days, and just like watching like Netflix or like movies or shows like mindlessly. Like, I don't know, that might sound like super weird, but like it just like helps me like, forget about like all like academic stuff and like getting my grades up and whatnot, and just like lets me like, calm down, just like go into the next semester with like a fresh mind. But Zoe, what about you?
Yeah, kind of similar to Sally. I read a lot. I haven't read that much this year because I've been kind of busy, but I'm trying to get back into it. And I also like listening to music. I do that a lot when I'm studying and like in between, and I always find that kind of helps. And then also, I don't know if you guys have like a comfort movie or comfort TV show, but I like love rewatching my favorite ones. So that always kind of helps. Karthik, what do you do to help your mental health?
It's been a journey with mental health for me. I've been in bad places. I've been in good places. So there's been a lot of things I've done from small to big. But I think one of the biggest ones is for everyone to understand that it's okay to not be okay. It is normal. It is just as normal as getting the flu or turning an ankle or whatever it may be. This is just something that happens. And similarly to those things, it's okay to get help, whether that help be a support network with your family or friends, or maybe it's more than that. Maybe you need to seeing a doctor, something I have done. Maybe it's a doctor who prescribes some medication, something that I've done, or maybe it's seeing a therapist. And these are things, these are big things for, serious problems. But, on the smaller scale, little things that you can do, I find, Vanshika, you mentioned breathing exercises earlier. And I find that really, really important for me when I'm feeling a little bit anxious or tight or a little bit scared to take that. I really find that it's really easy when you're feeling your mental health isn't the greatest, is to isolate yourself from people. And it's understandable because you just don't feel worthy. You don't want to be around people. But when doing that, it's easy to fall into like bad habits and not take care of yourself. So I think it's been really good for me to make sure it's like, hey, I'm going to spend an hour outside no matter what. And I'm either going to run or I'm going to walk, or maybe I'm just going to take my e-reader out and sit on a blanket and read, but just to be outside and feel the world, or just be around people. Maybe I don't even want to talk to people, but maybe I'm just going to go grocery shopping just so there's people around and I remember these sorts of things. And I can't say, my life has been irreparably changed by the presence of like good people and having that support system and just talking to someone, and in the old days it was like pick up the phone, but now just like, just chat with someone like, hey, how's it going? Just touch base, it don't have to be talking about your mental health. It can just be talking about anything, and then like Zoe, you said like, rewatching old shows and the such. For me, watching sports is my safe place. I can just like, okay, I'm going to put on football for the day and I'm just going to watch and I'm just going to be absorbed in the game and just kind of, this is my world and this is where I'm going to be. But it's the same thing with, whether it be old shows or old movies, if I'm feeling down, it's like, okay, I'm just going to put on one of the Avengers movies and I'm going to, it's just going to, yeah. All right, there we go. Some Iron Man in my life. I'm good. So it's just a wide range, but I just want everyone out there to understand that you're not alone with how you're feeling. And this is not the end. This isn't, it's not always going to feel this way. You might stop feeling this way and feel this way again. No one's going to say that, but you're not alone, and there are plenty of things, plenty of resources out there. I'm sure we're going to share some of those resources later on, but it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, I think kind of building off of that, if anyone watching right now is kind of contemplating reaching out for help or trying to reach out, what's a piece of advice that you would give to them?
I think a piece of advice, like, as like weird as it might sound, is like take the initiative, because like nobody knows what you're going through. They're not going to know like automatically like, oh, hey, like, Sally's like super upset today. Like, I'm not going to know that. I'm not like Sally, but I think just like reaching out and being like, hey, I kind of just need somebody to listen to me, or hey, I just need somebody to talk to, is like a good way to start that conversation and getting that support. And like, if there's somebody that like you're like, hey, I can't support them as much as I want to, ask them like kindly, like respect their boundaries and be like, hey, do you want me to like guide you to somebody else who can give me like better support? Because like sometimes like, just being there for someone, listening to them might not be enough for them, if that makes sense. But Sally, what do you think?
I really agree on your the two parts where you said communication and like also respecting their boundaries. I think that's super important. Other than that, I think just knowing that you're not alone, even from this like segment and the paradigm responses we got, a lot of them we really related to. So just knowing that you're not going through it alone, everyone is feeling the same way, and there's a lot more people that feel the same way than you think. And also just having trust in yourself, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of you said. Just something else I might add is if you don't feel comfortable reaching out to someone you know in your personal life, Kids Help Phone is a really great resource. You can text someone, call someone, or if you don't actually want to talk to someone, they have a lot of articles posted that you can use. I know there's links to them in our Instagram bio if you're interested, but that's also a great resource that you can use. Karthik, do you have any tips?
Yeah, I think it's, there's so many resources out there. It's really important that you're getting your information from the right spot and you're following the right guidelines. There's social media, there's so much out there right now. And some of it is super, super valuable, but some of it is not necessarily the best advice. And there's sometimes people trying to lead people down the wrong holes. And so I really, really recommend the resources from Kids Help Phone. They are a fabulous organization, staffed by some of the best mental health professionals in the world. They have partnerships with hospitals for sick children, the best of researchers. And that's a great, great place to start your journey. I know sometimes, I don't know if those of you have a TikTok account, you can go down the wrong hole of TikTok and suddenly there's all sorts. I'm like, wait a second, this advice is not good, and so it's about vetting that. So making sure that, but also I know it can be embarrassing asking for help because you probably feel like I'm the only one who feels this way and there's something wrong with me and I don't want to admit it. And sometimes mental health makes us do things that are embarrassing. Maybe you just feel like, oh, like I've struggled and I haven't like showered in 3 days or whatever. And you're super, super embarrassed. You don't want to tell anyone in the world that. Why would you? But it's okay. People will understand. People have been there. People have been through this. And that's asking for help is hard. Even with robots, you're at the competition and your robot's struggling and everyone's like, oh, everyone in the first community is so helpful, but you're still too nervous to go ask a team for help because it's a little, it's like, oh, it's like, I couldn't do it, but it's okay. Lots of people can't do it. Lots of people need help. And like, I'll tell you, I've had to ask for help so many times in my life, and I'm in a great place and I'm successful. A lot of people kind of think, oh, people who struggle with mental health will never go anywhere. I'm going to be this mess. No. The most successful people have probably struggled at some time, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think that's really good advice.
Yeah, it's definitely really important to remember you're not alone. A side note, I think a link to Kids Help Phone was just put in the Twitch chat. So if you want to save that link for later, that's there. But now I think we can take a look at how you guys feel about it. So we could pull up the Pear Deck and look at the responses to the original question, which was, what do you do to help your mental health? All right, so we have some people saying self-care, talking to others, doing something you enjoy, kind of along the lines of what we said here. So I think that kind of demonstrates that we all kind of experience things in a similar way, even though it's not the exact same, and that like no matter what you're going through, you're probably not alone. So yeah, I think that kind of brings getting support to a close. So
yeah. I think
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Are you gonna go ahead or do you want me to go ahead?
You can go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I really hope that like this panel like kind of helps, just like, helps you realize that even though like how Zoe said, even though it might feel like you're alone, there's always like things out there to help you. And especially like Sally started off this segment, like stepping out of your comfort zone can be really, really helpful sometimes as well.
I want to ask a question to all of you before we go, but I think, we talked about all of this, but what's something you're excited about right now? Because, it's easy to lose when there's uncertainty and when there's stress and when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's easy to lose track of things that might bring a little bit of joy. So what's something, whether it be tiny or big, that you're excited about either now or in the near future?
I think, I usually have a lot of homework from one course in specific. I'm taking AP Psych right now, and it's like usually a lot every night. So I've like had no time to do anything, but I had a test today in that course. So now I don't have much homework. So after the segment, I'm going to go read it. So I'm kind of excited for that.
What are you going to be reading tonight, Zoe?
It's a book called The Prior of the Orange Tree. It's like 800 pages and I'm like halfway through, but I'm making my way through very slowly.
Awesome. We'll have to bring you on the show for a book review at some point, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
What about you, Vanshika?
I think one thing I'm looking forward to is like finally being able to take my tech courses, especially Mr. Hunter's computer engineering class, which is like super fun. And I've been taking it for like the past 4 years, but like finally having courses that are like not like, that don't like require me to use my brain so much. I can just like collaborate with people and just like
wait. I got to back you up for a second. Did you just say I want a course where I don't have to use my brain, so I'm excited about Mr. Hunter's course? Because that is hilarious.
I did not mean it like that. No. I meant like
Stan, are you watching? Stan, are you watching?
Oh my God. I hope he doesn't see this. This is so
I'm going to tell him about it. But,
Please don't. Oh my gosh. No, I just meant like it's not a course like, like physics or chemistry where it's like a lot of like math and like I have to like, practice over and over again. It's like something like I enjoy doing, which makes it feel like it's not a lot of work to do, if that makes sense. I definitely like, if Mr. Hunter's watching this, I definitely like your course. Don't worry.
Mr. Hunter is one of the best teachers out there. He's Prime Minister Awards winner, and his students after students talk about how great his course is and how challenged they've been. I know, I'm just teasing, man. Don't worry. Swaggy P. Paul Keenan says, I can set a link in the video for Stan to see.
Oh my gosh.
Sally, what about you? What are you excited for?
My second semester just started and all of the courses I'm taking here, I'm really excited for. So I'm taking biology and I'm taking physics. And I think my physics teacher is also watching this live stream right now, but I've never taken physics. So I'm really excited. I've heard a lot of mixed things about it, but so far I'm loving it so much. And same with biology. I'm very excited for all the labs we're going to do.
I loved physics in high school. It was just like, especially like kinematics and like motion, and it was fun. And you always hear those questions like, train leaves point A at this time, train leaves point B at this time, whatever. Like actually learning how to solve those was like, wow, that's really neat. But yeah, there's a lot of things. I know for me, I am very excited because the Olympics actually start tomorrow morning. The mixed doubles curling will be going and opening ceremonies will be on Friday. And like, I am the biggest Olympics junkie in the world. Like, I have one of my dream jobs right now. I work for First, and that's amazing. But if I could work for the International Olympic Committee or the Canadian Olympic Committee, that would be like the other dream. I just get so into it. I love seeing the athletes who have worked so hard all their lives and their journeys culminating in these amazing special moments. And I love the international part of it, especially the summer games where you have countries, people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different economic situations, all coming together to compete in this pure sport. And it's just, it's kind of like why I love big First events too, but I'm so jazzed for the Olympics. And so I'm really looking forward to making some time every day. Just like, yeah, I'm just watching the Olympics. I can't wait to, rock my Canadian Lululemon gear and just be waving the flags and go Canada go. So that's what I'm excited about.
One thing though, I hate that some of the good events are at like 3 a.m.
It is. It is a struggle. So last summer, Vanshika, was the Summer Olympics were in Tokyo. I actually took a week off of work and I converted my time zone. So I was waking up in Tokyo time and going to bed in Tokyo time. And so I was sleeping during the day and waking up, and it was just, it was so much fun. I was just like, and I had like 4 screens going on and I was able to watch everything. So it is a struggle for sure, the games when they're in Asia or Australia, but it's going to be exciting. So
I love the commitment.
Yeah. When I do something, I don't do things halfway. It's like, you go all in. And so it's been a thing. I could do a whole show about the Olympics, but we're not going to do that here because we're First Canada Live, not First Olympics Live. And I don't want the IOC to get mad at me again. That's a whole other story I could tell you about another time. But hey, this has been a great segment. Thank you so much. The First Canada Youth Council, we are so thankful for everything you do for our community, especially shows like this. I think this was a really great discussion for teams to have. I'm looking forward to them to sharing it out to folks so people can see. It's really, really impressive. So thank you so much for being on the show. But next week, guess what? We got more good stuff coming on. We have a partner spotlight with St. Clair College. The Kahoot Challenge is back. That's right. First trivia. We got our current champion, none other than Miss Libby Kamen, will be on the show. She'll be going up against Praveen Sripalan. So that will be a lot of fun. And then we got 3 FRC teams, 4039, 5406, and 1360 coming on to talk about some tips on how they've been able to work effectively remotely and how they're going to be able to apply that the rest of the season. So it's going to be a great time. Everyone out there, please stay safe and get vaccinated if you're eligible and able. It's really, really important. The only way we're going to get out of this is get as many shots in arms as we can. So stay safe, get vaccinated, and we will see everyone in 1 week. Good luck with your robots, folks. Bye.